Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Football.
Great cash, homie.
And away we go.
Yes, and away we go on this Feedback Friday live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment where we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die, presented by our friends at Quick Trip. It's Phil Mackey, it's Judd Zulgad, it's our executive producer, Declan Goff, and it's all of your questions, concerns, comments, critiques. It's a Feedback Friday where we basically turn the show over to you guys and get through as many questions as we can here. So the best place to hit us up throughout the week is the feedback tab in the Score North app. That's the easiest way to email us. We also monitor the YouTube comment section and other various things on social media. Guys, it kind of feels like the fan base was so deflated after the Kirk Cousins injury, rightfully so, because they were building something. They won a bunch of games to get back to 500, and then boom, Kirk Cousins goes down. And then Joshua Dobbs comes in, and they come from behind in the second half. It feels like, and I don't know how sustainable it's going to be with Josh Dobbs, but it feels like there's a renewed sense of optimism, energy among this fan base this week. That's my read so far this week.
Yeah, since the KOC comment and away we effing go, which I believe came after the first win against Carolina, this team is 5-1. This team is 5-1, and I think there was a renewed optimism before the Falcons game. But I think what the Falcons game did was it sort of drove home the point that this team has now has fortune and they're not making mistakes on its side. And so yeah, I think that anytime you get a story like Josh Dobbs, especially, and it probably has to be at that position, it energizes the fan base. Like we love, and I think this is true of sports fans across the country, not just here, but we love stories like this, right? Like underdog quarterback comes into game and oh my God, yeah, he screws up, but he also leads a win. These type of stories are what makes sports fun. And then I will continue to give a ton of credit to the head coach. I think the head coach's ability to keep this team together in the face of adversity, like this year, is full of potholes. Last year, you came back and won a lot of games. So I guess you did have bumps in the road in games, but a year ago, it felt like most bounces went your way. A lot of things, like you didn't have a lot of off the field problems. You didn't have, Justin Jefferson out for 4 games. So I think O'Connell's ability to keep this team on track and to create this story makes this team fun now.
Yeah, it's cool to see, like, you have the backup QB come in, and Patrick Royce on our Unchained episode on Friday said, he comes in there the first 2 plays, pukes all over himself, and we all thought, oh boy, this is going to be a tough one to watch. And then he kind of rebounds. He's processing everything. But I mean, yeah, how can you not root for a guy who literally comes off the bench cold, is doing snap cadences with everyone on the sidelines because he doesn't even know everybody's name. Hey, guy, make sure you're open over here and whatnot. So it was just such a unique story, and the winning streak certainly helps. And this soft part in their schedule too, I think, creates a lot of optimism among the fans as well.
And I can tell you that this batch of feedback here that we have compiled is very optimistic. There are some reality checks in here, but before we dive into some of the questions here, let's cheers to another weekend of Vikings football. Our friends at Surly with their Before I Die lager, Judd Zulgad. Oh, yeah.
It's back on track. Ladies and gentlemen, it's back. For a while there, we thought, okay, Before I Die from Surly, an outstanding beer, but, let's call a spade a spade. The mission is sort of off for 2023. Not so fast, my friends. When you are sipping a Before I Die on the couch or in your favorite watering hole watching the game on Sunday, guess what? The mission alive and well, Before I Die, which speaks to, of course, what we want from the purple, but also what we want from our beer, which is an outstanding beer. Surly Brewing, they are always on point. They never make a mistake, a fumble. They have the beer that you want to be drinking Sunday.
Okay, we'll start with 6 Rulers chimes in here and says, hey, guys. So I listen every day, and for the most part, I would say I agree with Declan the least out of you 3, but After listening to Thursday's show, I have to admit I agree with Declan's hot take that this Vikings team with Dobbs at the helm could legitimately make it to the Super Bowl with the comparison to the 49ers from 10 years ago. This team is starting to feel a little bit special. Joshua Dobbs' arm brings an element to the quarterback. Josh Dobbs brings in element, not his arm, just Josh Dobbs, to the quarterback position I feel we sorely lacked with Cousins. His mobility, intelligence, and all-around attitude makes this team more dangerous than when Kirk was driving the ship. Is it too early to say that after one game of Joshua Dobbs?
Yes, yes. Please, slow. Look, this could be fun, and I like a lot of things that we are seeing, including, don't forget too, the defense is doing exactly what it didn't do a year ago, which is holding up its end of the bargain in a big way. But yes, I think it is way premature. Like, let's see Dobbs have 3 games where he cleans up the mistakes, but that doesn't mean that this can't be fun. So like, I do want to make this very clear. I'm not raining on the parade. I don't know a Super Bowl is a possibility. It probably is not, but that does not mean that you shouldn't be enjoying this, because flat out, this week has been fun. It's a great story.
I think too, like there's a new podcast that launched like 5 or 6 weeks ago with Joshua Dobbs and Trey Smith from the Kansas City Chiefs and a couple other guys. And little did they know that the whole thing was going to blow up like this, and he was going to get traded to the Vikings. But on the Monday episode they recorded this week, it's called the Torchbearers Podcast. If you want to check that out, it's on Apple and Spotify. And they just spend the whole show, basically 30 minutes, asking Joshua Dobbs, who's sitting in his hotel room across from the Vikings practice facility, what was that like, right? And my biggest takeaways are he's wildly intelligent, but he's also sort of funny. You can tell why teammates love him at every stop, and you can tell why when the Vikings front office and Kevin O'Connell were thinking about who can we bring in an emergency, that like through their process of scouting him over the years, they like, Joshua Dobbs would fit in perfectly. I think it's a step too far to say this journeyman quarterback that's been with, I think, 5 different teams since the start of the 2022 offseason in his late 20s is all of a sudden like, he's better than Kirk Cousins, who's one of the 12 best quarterbacks in the world right now. Maybe even one of the 8 to 9 best quarterbacks in the world before the injury. But there is something about him, and you saw how teammates, like throughout, they didn't even know him before the game really, and as the game's going on, Justin Jefferson's coming up to him on the sidelines, and they're hoisting him up on their shoulders. You can see how he fits into the fabric of this whole thing, and you can see how he was able to just process a ridiculous amount of information in a short amount of time in a way that, worked out for the Vikings. So I am a huge fan, after getting to know him sort of from afar here, of Joshua Dobbs. I do think it's aggressive to say like, they found a replacement for Kirk Cousins here. There's more where this came from, by the way. This optimism is overflowing here. Troy Belcher chimes in. Watching KOC operate with a mobile quarterback last week was probably the most fun I've had watching a Vikings game since Brett Favre was at the helm in 2009.
Wow.
I think if nothing else, I mean, last year we had the comeback against the Colts. We had that Bills game.
That's a bold place to go. Interesting. Okay.
There's the Keenum year and that defense. He says, if nothing else, we could possibly be in for not only a very entertaining last half of the season, but a peek into the future of what the Vikings offense will look like with a quarterback that can move. Not to take anything away from Kirk and the season he was having before the injury, but I think Dobbs showed us last week what heights this offense can get to with a quarterback that isn't a statue in the pocket, and that was without the best wide receiver in the league. I mean, they did have the highest scoring game of their season, so it's interesting.
Yeah, this is what, and look, it doesn't have to be Dobbs. Hall could come back at some point in time, but this is what I said with Kirk out, and this is not to say that Kirk is bad, because that's what everyone wants to hear. Kirk is bad. Judd thinks Kirk sucks, or Mackey thinks that.
He's garbage. You think he's garbage.
This is to say this is a glimpse, and win or lose, this is what excites me the most about this test drive for at least almost certainly the remainder of the season, the test drive of exactly what O'Connell can accomplish when he probably a week ago literally went into his office, opened up the playbook, and blew dust off like pages 60 through 90 because you can't use them with Kirk, and that's not Kirk's fault. It's just not Kirk. Yeah. So yes, I am. If there's one thing, if this team does now regress a bit, one thing I'm interested about, it is what O'Connell can accomplish and what we can see from a quarterback who can use his legs, because that's just not part of what Kirk does.
Jeremy Berg. Oh, go ahead. Go.
I was going to say what I loved about Josh Dobbs' ability is his intelligence can take him super far, right? Like there's two different types of quarterback intelligence. One that's just, if you're a quarterback, you are naturally gifted and you can have the ability to stay in the league for a little bit here, even if you're not a starter. But Josh is obviously intelligence and awareness and situations put him even on another level. Like I think every time we say he's a smart quarterback, well, a lot of people that play quarterback are very smart. It's an incredibly hard position to play. But obviously, Josh Dobbs' intelligence, being a NASA guy, aerospace engineer, takes him to a new level, right? Like that part of his game alone can keep him in the league, and he's been in it since, 2017, can keep him in this league for a very long time.
There is a question later. We'll get to it before the end of the episode here, but it kind of puts it into context. Like, okay, if he continues to play really well, is there a comp in the NFL going into 2024? And we'll get to that. But Jeremy Berg says, I know it's not likely, but what if the Vikings win the Super Bowl? I can't imagine how Kirk would feel with us winning without him. Would he still put the Lombardi trophy in his special room? Because he has that area in his right. We saw that on Netflix.
It's hidden. It's like a closet door, and then it opens up to all this fantastic Kirk statues and footballs, memorabilia.
Yeah, Jeremy says Kirk would have to sign somewhere else probably if that happens. I mean, I guess I haven't thought that far ahead of like, what if the Vikings win the Super Bowl with Josh Dobbs? But that would be awesome. And Drew Bledsoe once got hurt and Tom Brady took over. I can't believe I just said that out loud, because now people are going to be like, Mackey thinks Josh Dobbs is Tom Brady.
I don't want to be a party pooper here, but just to slow our roll a bit, like Josh Dobbs has been around with a bunch of teams, which, look, every team that Dobbs has played for has not been stupid. So, like in the case of the Cardinals, they are pretty dumb. But, Josh Dobbs has not kept or won a starting job in lots of places. So let's wait and see. The one thing, though, that I would say that if Josh Dobbs does start to struggle a bit, do not dismiss again the reemergence of Jaren Hall. Don't dismiss this. He has a concussion, okay? He's coming back. This is not like a broken leg or like Kirk and Achilles. So keep your mind open to the fact that they're actually, if Josh Dobbs falls off here in the next week or two and Hall can come back, the Jaren Hall thing, it lasted 11 plays. It might not be dead. And honestly, if that's the case, I would not be opposed at all to seeing him get a shot too.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, if Dobbs sputters a little bit, there's a good chance you could see both those guys down the stretch. We'll see. Jamie Rask wants to pour a little cold water on here, which I think is a good thing. He says, has everyone lost their minds? Just because Dobbs comes in and has a good game doesn't mean he is Tom Brady. So thank you, Jamie. He's won 2 games out of his last 10, and 4 teams have passed on him. That's, kind of like he's a backup. So teams aren't like getting sick of him and passing on him. They're just, for contractual reasons or otherwise, the Cardinals are like, we got Kyler Murray. We got your contract's coming up. If we can get a draft pick for it, great. However, he says, I'm in wait and see mode, so there's no disappointment. If Dobbs crashes and burns, a lot of fans are in for a huge disappointment. Let's see what he has on a weekly basis before people go all in on him.
That's, yes.
Very level-headed.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Exactly. A hater. This person's a hater, a Dobbs hater. Must be a Cousins crusader.
Shane M. chimes in here and says, if Kirk does sign for 2024, does the amount he signs for get added to the 2024 void year amount? If it does, how much could that influence the Vikings' decision to bring him back? So the answer is yes. What the Vikings did so Kirk would have had the number 1 highest cap hit in the NFL in 2023. It was like a $48 million cap hit or something ridiculous. So they cut that almost in half. They put $28 million or $27 million of it. He's already paid, Kirk is, with signing bonuses and his salary this year. For accounting purposes, the Vikings took $28 million and put it into 2024. They created what's called a void year. Right. So for their bookkeeping and their salary cap, they owe $28 million of Kirk Cousins' salary to the cap next year, whether he's on the team or not. If Kirk signs, the Vikings don't get to be like, well, hey, you're already on the books for $28 million, so what if we make it 10 for you? He's going to say, well, that's your accounting problem. The way you guys handle the accounting is your thing. Mm-hmm. I still want to get paid as much as I possibly can. So whether he signs for a big discount or whether he signs for $40 million a year, you'd still have to account for the $28 million in leftover cap hit.
Under cap, yep.
Rolled into that new contract.
Yes, which is why I think that Kirk would have to play for less than Kirk is going to want to. And so it would be bringing Kirk back financially if Kirk wants to get paid again, especially at the age of 35 going on 36, coming off an Achilles, would make for, I think, a very tough negotiation, especially if you're going to try to bring Daniil back. And now you're going to have to pay Jefferson because you're going into the 5th-year option of his contract. So that's why I think just from a contractual standpoint, unless Kirk took a real haircut on his next contract, which I'm not sure he's going to be willing to do, I think it gets to be a really difficult negotiation.
Yeah. The other thing, too, is if you're the Vikings, because Kirk has just played every single game for you, and last year he played every game, and then the first half of this season, if he would have kept playing every single game at a high level and you wind up making the playoffs, you don't know what your team and offense looks like in a non-Kirk world. So you'd probably be more beholden to just cave into a contract discussion, right? Okay, well, I guess we don't really know what this car drives like without him driving it, so it's too risky to move into a different driver now. But if they get a chance now maybe they find out over the next 7-8 games that, okay, that was a fun game against Atlanta, but the drivers they have in house here are careening off the the rails and into trees and stuff, and then the leverage goes back to Kirk in that spot. But if Joshua Dobbs plays at a pretty good level, or Jaron Hall plays at a pretty good level, maybe not a Kirk level, but hey, we can still get to the playoffs and win some games with other quarterbacks. I think it makes them less likely to just blank check. What do you want from us? How's your recovery going? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Dave Hines chimes in and says maybe this is a little reckless speculation here. A little reckless.
Reckless speculation.
Seeing how the Vikings won games, 4 of them actually, without Justin Jefferson, does that make you more willing to trade him if you knew you would get one of the 2 best quarterbacks in the upcoming draft? So by trading him, you would move up no lower than drafting 2nd in this hypothetical reckless scenario.
Well,
speculation.
Right now, that means I can make a trade with Chicago, which owns Carolina's 1st-round pick, which is a real problem if you're the Panthers, but that's a different story for a different day.
That was a win-win for the Bears last night, right?
Oh, yeah, most
Playing
definitely.
The Panthers. We can beat the Panthers and help our draft stock, or we can lose to the Panthers and help our draft stock. It'll be great.
I'm not sure about you boys. I did not watch a second of that game. I was watching Wild, and then I watched hockey, and then I went to bed and said, I don't need to watch this crap.
The Mackeys went to the Hewing rooftop for a couple good
Hewing
cocktails.
I've heard good things about the Hewing.
Great
spot.
Great spot.
I've been to the bar downstairs, but not the upstairs. That's
get
nice.
up to that upstairs bar, man. It's
okay,
good
all right.
I watched the Wild game and Paul Blart Mall Cop on Netflix, one of the cinematic classics of our generation. That's what I did last night.
Paul Blart. It's been a while. That's a throwback now.
Kevin James, right? It's Kevin James. Give me some Kevin James.
Okay, if I could get the 1st overall pick, I might consider it, but I am not actively I'm sorry. I don't care if it's four games. I am not actively looking to trade Jefferson. I'm not sure about, if the Bears come to me and say, hey, we will give you the number 1 pick, and then it's in division, so there's some tax there, it gets to be a little bit of a dicey conversation, but I am not going to be picking up the phone at any point in time and saying, well, we don't really need Justin. So that's my personal opinion, is that unless I got called and blown away, I'm not trying to trade him. No way.
I think the emergence of Addison, I'm not going to put Addison on the same level as Jefferson, but Addison looks like a very good wide receiver, right? It makes you think a little bit harder about $30 million a year, especially if this is the other thing too. Like, I want to know how much am I going to have to allot for a quarterback over the next 3 to 5 years? If that front office knows right now, hey, regardless of what happens the rest of the season, we are drafting a quarterback in the first or second round, and we are going to commit to that guy on a cheap rookie contract. If that is their plan right now, okay, I'm going to overspend a little bit, splurge on Justin Jefferson. I'm committing to a Christian Darrisaw contract. I'm probably re-signing Danielle Hunter through age 31 because I have the affordability without paying $40 or $50 million to a quarterback to keep these guys around. But if I'm committing to Kirk Cousins for 2 more years, and it's going to be, maybe it's a little bit of a discount because he tore his Achilles, so maybe it's 30 or 40 million instead of $50 million a year, right?
Right.
Well, I don't know that I can afford all of these other guys. Then I'm almost certainly saying goodbye to Danielle Hunter. Then I'm maybe entertaining a trade of Jefferson. But if you trade Jefferson, would Cousins at age 36 be able to overcome not having Justin Jefferson? Like Patrick Mahomes could with Tyreek Hill gone.
Right.
So I got a quarterback. I have to start with, what are we doing at quarterback? Okay, we're going cheap. We're going first or second round. Now I can overspend on some of these other positions.
There's 8 games left. These 8 games, in my opinion, will go a long way towards determining the answer to that question, not necessarily because of how the internal options play, but because of how the internal coach coaches. If Kevin O'Connell can pull this off, you are going to gain a lot of confidence in his ability to take a quarterback and have success. So like that's the difference. I mean, I keep going back to it, but he was hired because of this, because they were they were tired, rightfully so, of the fact that Rick Spielman literally one day threw up his damn hands and said, I can't do it. I'm going to go sign Kirk because I can't find a quarterback. If you now have a guy that can develop them in your building, do you know the confidence there? So like, I don't think that we should look past that. Perhaps the most important quarterback in TCO only throws passes in practice for fun.
Is that Maya?
Maya's throwing passes for fun on the hallway right now.
No, she's agreeing with me. She's like, oh my God, Uncle Pop over there is
Actually,
right.
you know what she's doing? She's like, hey, it's been like an hour and a half since I've had Nutrisource. I'm like, okay, can we wait 5 minutes?
I was feeding the dog Nutrisource today.
Dude, she tricked us yesterday morning. We both wound up feeding her breakfast because one of the rare miscommunications between the Mackies. But yeah, Nutrisource is the official dog and pet food of Purple Daily and Score North, boys.
Stella right there. I told you a couple days ago, I not only got her a bunch of food at my local Chuck and Don's, but I also got her another 2 bags of the Training Rewards treats because she absolutely loves those too. And I'm guessing that boy right there, I'm guessing he likes the meals and the treats. Am I right, Declan?
Oh, the little proper boy crosses his paws. Look at him. He'll do a shake. You know, he'll do a little dance. He'll cross the paws. He'll do just about anything for a little bite of some of that Nutrisource.
Nutrisource chicken and rice is the go-to food here. NutrisourcePetFoods.com if you want to find a Nutrisource retailer near you. Quick Trip is also a great place to go find some food. For humans, that is. Quick Trip, an official partner of Purple Daily. All right. Hey, can you guys in the chat, can you still hear and see me as our technical gremlins play games with us? Hopefully you can, because we're going to shout out our friends over at Quick Trip, helping power this Feedback Friday edition. Okay, you got me. So those guys are out. Sounds good. Quick Trip. You can find Quick Trips all around the Twin Cities and greater Minnesota area. In fact, my wife and I actually went to Quick Trip on Sunday before that Purple game against Atlanta. And we just said, let's go. We're going to get some Kruba coffee, and we'll get maybe a couple snacks, a couple breakfasts. We wound up buying groceries for like the first 3 days of the week. So Quick Trip is the official convenience store and gas station of Purple Daily. We appreciate them jumping on board here. And I'm just going to keep plowing through Feedback Friday while we wait for the internet gremlins to stop attacking Declan and Judd. All right? Flying this plane solo right now. Let's see here. J. Mambo Franzmeyer. How about some reckless speculation for Feedback Friday? Yes, how about some?
Reckless speculation.
I spent the first half of my life in Minnesota and the second half in Chicago, so I've watched a lot of Bears football. It's obvious that the Bears are going to move off of Justin Fields after this year, so how do we feel about trading for him this offseason? I can't imagine they'd want much for him, and they clearly don't believe in him anymore. If anyone got him out of his own head, it could be Kevin O'Connell. Plus, he's a perfect fit for the system that we want to run. Anyways, I think you guys are coming back. Apparently I was fine the whole time. And you guys,
what the heck? Not
What
sure
happened?
what happened there.
I thought it was me, but then everyone's like, we can hear Mackie as he's just staring at the screen. So here's where we're at with Feedback Friday. Would you entertain buying low on Justin Fields?
Oh, no. No.
I'm Team Dex here. What's the contract now? Three years left, including a fifth-year option. Is he in his second season, right?
Third, right?
Third.
Okay. I side with Declan here. I don't think I would.
No, I'm not taking a chance on him. I know, people were high. The Vikings were very high on him in the draft, the Spielman area. That was, but I'd much rather go and get your own guy in this year's draft, or continue to roll with Josh Dobbs, or find another stopgap. I'm staying away from Justin Fields.
I mean, I think once a guy gets like that far into it, he's third year. Now the value of his contract is not what it would have been. I would just assume draft someone in the late. I'd rather draft like a late first round quarterback and have all 5 years of a rookie scale deal. Mm-hmm. Plus, like, even though the price tag to get Justin Fields might not be a lot, it's going to be higher because you're in the division. You know, you're going to pay an in-division tax to get a quarterback, because there would still be a chance that the Bears would have to see him revived twice a year. So I don't know, man. Like, I get the premise that, hey, the Bears for 50 years have been awful at developing quarterbacks. It doesn't matter who the front office is, the coach. There's something about that franchise. They just ruin quarterbacks. So putting Justin Fields in a better environment, I see the logic there. I don't know that that's the horse I would pick to bet on, though.
If Kevin O'Connell said, I love the kid, like, here's what's wrong, here's what I can fix, I would certainly listen to Kevin O'Connell there. But yeah, I'm with Declan. My first inclination would not be Justin Fields. Let's steal him from the Bears.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Corey Larson. There's just a ton of quarterback questions this week because, it's a wide open blank canvas right now. So Corey Larson says, if Josh Dobbs plays fairly well for the rest of the season, how much money would he get paid in the offseason? Now, I saw this question come in, and so I had a chance to sort of do some thinking on this. I'm springing it on you guys. Mm-hmm. But the first name that came to my head, so Dobbs is like late 20s. He's like 28, I want to say. And he was a third or a fourth round pick. Geno Smith was a second round pick back in 2013. Now, he got more of a chance to start at the beginning of his career, kind of flamed out, and then became a backup. Dobbs was never like drafted he didn't get to start for like 2 or 3 years, and that's it. But both those guys were sort of like journeyman backups, collecting dust. Geno Smith gets to Seattle, and he was 31 years old when he started getting some run with the Seahawks. But he puts up a great season last year. He actually wound up finishing first in the league in completion percentage. He had a passer rating over 100. Mm-hmm. He had a top 10 QBR, 30 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. Like, just a really good season objectively. He was the comeback player of the year, 10th in MVP voting, a Pro Bowler. So just a really big pop-up season. And he winds up signing a 3-year, $75 million contract with basically like 2 years of guarantees, I want to say. So if Dobbs played really, really well, and that contract for Geno, by the way, ranks 18th among quarterback salaries. Would you guys, like, let's say Dobbs plays his ass off and the Vikings get to the playoffs. He said, you know what? I'll do 3 years, $75 million, 2 guaranteed. So you're basically paying him $25 million a year, and he would be outside the top 15 in quarterback salaries. $30 million less a year than the top quarterbacks in the league.
Would I do that? If he got to the playoffs and won a couple of playoff games, I might. Beyond that, no, I would not. I would want to have a situation where, look, I mean, I'm sorry, but if O'Connell can get the best from Dobbs, I guess my question is, what could he get from a younger, higher drafted QB? Mm-hmm. You know, so like this is sort of the in trying to buy stocks. If this is a game of buying quarterback stocks, I'm very intrigued what the guy buying stocks, in this case KOC, can do. So if Dobbs got to the playoffs and made like the conference championship game, that would definitely change my thinking. But anything short of that, I'm probably going to be inclined to defer to, hold on a second here, this guy is truly a quarterback whisperer, which we still don't know yet.
Yeah, I would need less money there. I would need less money there, and even if that means more guaranteed money up front in that first year, I would probably be in on that. But I think that's a little too much money for me, a little too rich for my blood.
And as Stiff Richard pointed out there in the comment section, Dobbs is going to lay an egg this Sunday, and the discussion's going to be completely different on Monday. There is a very good chance. I would say
could happen.
That is definitely a possibility.
Could happen.
Let's see here. Nicholas Nelson. I personally really enjoy the conversations and the realism you guys express in your content. One of my complaints as I was growing up as a Vikings fan is nobody was realistic about what was happening with the team. Every talking head was like Paul Allen in all of his content. Nothing but purple positivity and hopeful dreams. The realism and down and dirty propositions are the exact kind of conversations being held by the front office, and I appreciate it. This is a long, rambling message, but I felt the need to express my appreciation for the three of you and your willingness to experience such hate and vitriol on the internet and still be so entertaining in each and every episode. Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I thought that was concise. I thought that was very clear and concise, not long and rambling.
I edited for, it was probably 3 times as long. But
okay, that's long and rambling.
You want me to read the rest of the praise?
No. I thought he just thought he was rambling, and he wasn't. But no,
slicing sentences,
nice work.
Off words.
So yeah, sometimes we could use the validation from time to time. So thank you, Nicholas. Appreciate it. Okay. Sam Rambo chimes in here.
Sam.
Yeah, man.
John's
I want to
brother.
highlight John's brother Sam, or son, or nephew. I want to highlight something from Sunday's game against the Falcons. Not one false start, not one delay of game.
Yep.
I watched the Bills and Bengals game where the Bills shipwrecked a few drives with those penalties. Dobbs spent 2 minutes with an O-line he had never met, spit out play calls he had never heard before, and yet was flawless in that aspect. What this tells me is this team is dialed in. Dobbs is really calm under pressure as well. Nobody should say he's a superstar yet, but a very good combo to have in this league.
Okay, let's speak in realistic terms here, though, because he did this safety, and then the 2 fumbles that he had were because he panicked, like they were bad plays. I do think the ability, though, to eventually say screw it and just start to run helps a lot.
Yeah,
I'm going to be very curious to see what Josh Dobbs does now with a week of practice, which I think that the masses think, but he has a week of practice. He's going to be improved. He's going to be a better version of the guy that we saw on Sunday. I would say be careful of saying that, because there's something to be said for throwing into the fire and saying, what the F? And that's sort of what he did. So there's things to be gleaned here and learn. I do like the fact, though, that it felt like after the second turnover that Josh Dobbs had, that he did just basically, or O'Connell said, hey, dude, you know what? when in doubt, take off and run. It's fine. We'll fix this. But now with it being fixed, I think that there's a big curiosity from me how that's going to look.
And they have been really good at being a lot more disciplined, like, taking false start penalties, unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, those are just can absolutely kill you. And look, are you going to get flags sometimes? Of course you're going to get flagged if a defensive back, isn't turned around and you get called for PI, naturally, penalties are going to happen. But avoiding those false starts, avoiding not letting your emotions get the best for an unsportsmanlike conduct, like, that's a product of coaching, and then it trickles down to your players, and that part has not been an issue, I guess, for the Vikings all season.
Yeah, they seem. This was a trend. Remember, we were looking at like the last year of Zimmer and then the first year of Kevin O'Connell, and the Vikings just did not commit like offensive false start and holding penalties. I think they started the season. It took them like 5 or 6 games to get a holding penalty or something last year.
Last year, it did. It did.
So
yep.
they definitely, regardless of who the quarterback is. Remember, was it the 2021 season? The season started. Was it at Cincinnati?
Yeah, against the Bengals.
And the season started with like 3 false starts on the first drive. And some of that's on
CJ Ham, first play.
Yeah. And I remember kind of coming out saying, well, of course, I'm the Kirk hater, right? Like, false starts are because of miscommunication in the huddle, miscommunication at the line. So coaching staff can get blamed, but doesn't your quarterback also have to have some blame to take in that situation? But whether it was quarterback, coaching, if a backup can come in not knowing the system and not have false starts, and I think they dropped 1 snap in that game. So Alex Gandini says, I just discovered Score North on YouTube last week after searching for Vikings news. Here's where it turns interesting. I'm from Brazil. My father worked for 3M for 25 years. Nice. And so we, myself and my sons Enzo and Luca, have become huge Twins and Vikings fans. So, nice. Alex, thanks for discovering us.
You're awesome.
And Enzo and Luca, we appreciate you guys. Let's see here. David Bruss says, guys, I love your show. However, don't get soft. Super Bowl or bust. Yep. I watch the show because of the cry for accountability and the flag waving. We need to win a championship. So is this a Super Bowl or bust situation right now without Kirk Cousins?
With Kirk, I said no, but I agree with the point. Like the point is, yes, the ultimate goal every year is to win a championship.
Don't get soft on us, Judd.
I don't. So hold on a second here.
SAWF.
Hold on a second here.
Soft.
The Josh Dobbs story is a lot of fun, and I think to rain on the parade of that completely would be unnecessary. But that being said, yes, the end goal remains the same. But remember, at least from my standpoint, I've said this for a long time, I don't think Kirk Cousins will ever win a Super Bowl with any team. So it's not like, in my opinion, the guy that got so close. Yeah. If Kirk Cousins had melted down like in an NFC championship game on the doorstep of a Super Bowl berth, as tough as that would be to watch, I might say, well, he got him there though. Like, they were there. He never even come close. So I guess I'm not going soft in the fact that I think Josh Dobbs and Kirk Cousins have about the same opportunity to win a Super Bowl, because I don't think Kirk is going to ever get close to it.
Yeah, I feel
he checked down on 4th and 8, guys.
That's the thing. I feel the same way in my soul and core about Kirk. It's conflicting because everybody wants to paint everything as a black and white. Like, I think there's room to say Kirk Cousins is one of the 8 to 12 best quarterbacks in the world, and he's better now than he was when the Vikings signed him 6 years ago, and he was probably playing at his best level right before the injury in those last couple games. And I feel like when the pressure is cranked up the absolute most against the best teams in the NFL, and you need your quarterback not to avoid blame for a loss, but to be the reason why he covers up for some of the deficiencies, the solution to getting your team over the top, I don't believe he has that in his belly deep down inside. I don't see him, and at this point, he's never come anywhere close to a conference championship game, let alone a Super Bowl, right? Is it his fault always that his teams don't rise up to that level in the playoffs? Not necessarily.
Right.
Has he ever been enough of a solution and enough of a great player, et cetera, to carry a team to that level? No, and I'm kind of with you, man. Like, so as we sit here and discuss what are their options for next year, it's like I would be interested in a discounted version of Kirk Cousins because now I can build my roster up even more.
Right.
But at the end of the day, when you're facing a great pass rush and you're on the road and it's the second round of the playoffs and you're getting punched in the mouth and it's 4th down and 8 and the season's on the line, what's your level of faith, man? Like, I don't know that he has the DNA.
And I think the most fair thing to say about this show is we are not about absolution. Like, I'm not looking for, well, it's not Kirk's fault, or it's not, when they got off to a bad start and they're fumbling the damn football, there's problems. I'm not looking to say, well, I can't really blame this guy or that guy. My whole thing in sports is you can blame everyone if they're not doing what they are paid to do. And right now they're on a roll. They're playing well. And I remain the most excited about the fact that I think they've got a guy now that can develop quarterbacks, and he's going to get a really long look at potentially at least a couple of options.
Yeah. Me Panther chimes in here and says, Kirk has left the building. Move on. But that's not true yet necessarily.
No, he's in the Me Panther. He is in the building a lot.
Yeah,
like he's trying to rehab
and
get better.
The leaders of the team before the Atlanta game came out and said we'd really be interested in bringing him back, especially Kevin O'Connell. Kwesi was a little bit more. It takes two to tango.
Yep.
But Kevin O'Connell said, I really want him back. Now, Kevin O'Connell has yet to really see his offense with a different quarterback. So, like, this is Kevin O'Connell dating for the first time as a head coach, right? It's like, well, I really wasn't looking to get out of my relationship, but, my the gal I was seeing tore her ACL on our date, and now she can't, or Achilles, And so now he's like forced into speed dating now. He's like, you know what? There's other fish in the sea. This is interesting. We'll see.
It's his first opportunity since arriving here to be at the quarterback buffet, man. He's looking at, he's like, well, previously I only ate steak. And now they're like, no, hold on, dude. There's more options here.
You had glazed
Old Country
salmon
Buffet.
before? Oh,
Old
man.
Country Buffet. That's what this is.
OCB.
Little Dobbs, little Hall. You never know, some Mullins. Ooh, this Mullins is pretty good. It's tasty. Quarterback buffet.
The quarterback buffet. Let's shout out our friends before we get to a couple more feedback questions here. Speaking of food and buffets, Park Tav, man. Park Tav. I don't know if they have do they have buffets at Park Tav ever?
Oh, let me tell you about
St. Louis Park.
Oh, that's a great segue, my man, because not only do they, but there you're looking at the Eat, Drink, Bowl party. How about this one? Park Tavern's Thanksgiving, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Let me give you what the spreads are, boys, okay? Let me tell you what the spreads are, because we're going to have turkey, veggies, mashed potatoes, and gravy, of course, stuffing, salad, cranberry sauce, pumpkin pie. The tableside buffet, to answer your question, Phil Mackey, $23.95. The single plate dinner, $16.95. Park Tavern is the place to be. You know what, too? Thanksgiving buffets are great when they're not in your house, because then you don't have to clean up. Then there's no like pain in the ass cleanup. You got to clean all the dishes, or you got to.
When you go to someone else's home for a meal, do you ever offer A? Do you do that? And B, do you ever offer to help clean up?
Oh boy, I think the last time I did that was when I was at the in-laws in Iowa years ago. I don't think I do.
So,
no.
but and when you do, it's probably always, like, hey, is there anything I can do to help clean up? And in your head, you're like, please say no, please say no. Please
and they
say
do
no.
say no. Like, when's the last time that a person said, yeah, you can pick up all those dishes?
Here's what you do. You clear the table. You grab everyone's plates. You clear the table.
Then it looks like you've done something.
But you don't do the dishes.
Yep.
On the road, though?
Pro move.
If you invite me to your house, you are taking on cleanup as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Yes.
So if I'm playing
in
a
order
road
to be
game,
a good, gracious human to get
you might
invited
say,
back
can I
to
help?
places.
Oh, I'll pick up my own dish, but I'm not going to clear your table. I'll pick up my dish and put it in your sink, and
this
then
is me gaslighting the host that I've helped. I've got.
I don't think it's
Tex is 100% right here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's necessary though. You were playing a road game, so like if you're playing, it's their stadium. They got to take care of the stadium.
Yeah, but this is why maybe Declan has deeper human connections than you in some cases.
Well, I don't want
like,
you to invite
offer
me
help
back
people.
necessarily, so I'm cool. I'm cool with this. But anyway, Park Tavern.
Judd's a dinner guest sociopath is what we're
Delicious Thanksgiving
beer.
buffet available, and yes, beer as well. Park Tavern in my neck of the woods here, St. Louis Park, located off Louisiana Avenue South, and also for your group gatherings, nothing like Park Tavern. Check out parktavern.net for more details. And you know what? They're going to clean up for you. You don't have to worry about anything
That's
there.
great,
My friend Cheryl and Phil, they'll clean up for you.
Can I bring that plate back to the kitchen? No, stay out of our kitchen.
No,
Just
no,
leave.
get the hell
Here's
out
the
of
bill.
here.
Yeah. Hey, Underdog Fantasy is a great way to enjoy watching sports even more.
That's right. Yeah, they have obviously a lot of great options, including in-game specials, which I love to do. So, you're watching the Vikings game, or even you're watching a primetime game, right? They'll send you little notifications, and they'll say, hey, only for a little bit. You got a little tush-push special maybe coming up. You got a little goal line stand special. There's plenty of options. There's even defensive props on Underdog Fantasy, not just offense, okay? So your defensive friends, you can get some props there on Underdog Fantasy. Promo code SCORE, SKOR, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. We love seeing those slips too, so if you have any winning slips from Underdog Fantasy, love to shout them out, love to show them here on Purple Daily. Hit me up at Dex Tweets or send us a feedback note. Go to Underdog Fantasy and promo code SCORE.
Boom. Okay, Forever Purple says, great show. Consume you guys every day. Thank you, Forever Purple. Instead of talking about a quarterback, which I think we've done a lot of, why don't we talk about drafting a great running back and some defensive help? I mean, wouldn't running back not like they made the right decision on Dalvin Cook? I don't know if anyone would even debate that at this point, and they probably could have gotten him back if they wanted to at the deadline. The Jets are barely using him, so they made the right decision there. But then they overestimated how much juice was left with Alexander Mattison, and they probably overestimated Dwayne McBride and Ty Chandler. So doesn't that now become, in terms of making your offense even more explosive and more consistent, running back becomes a big priority? Not first round, but it's a big priority, right?
Yeah, third round, right? You can. They have done a remarkable job of not finding one. That's what I am amazed by. Like McBride, I guess they fanned on. Chandler, they clearly just don't trust. Like, I've seen enough from Chandler that I would give him a go. Akers felt like he was really coming into his own as he got hurt. But yes, I would say that there's no reason why this team can't find a capable running back in like the third round or sign one. It's not that hard.
Yeah, there should be.
They're making it too hard.
I'd rather not sign one because it's like, if you can just, how many teams just find like Isaiah Pacheco, right? Like Isaac Pacheco.
Yeah.
Not gonna play here in Minnesota.
Rutgers, he's at Rutgers. No one ever even
Seventh
cared
round.
about him.
You should just be able to find a guy like third, fourth, fifth, sixth round that can go carry the ball 150 times for you without paying $5 million or something in free agency.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
I wouldn't pay big.
Yeah. All right. Well, we weathered. Hey, we had a little bit of a Josh Dobbs like performance there, right? Where we took a safety there technologically.
So Dex and I crapped out, and you didn't. Is that what I heard you saying?
I think we all crapped out briefly, and then you guys stayed crapped out longer, I think is what happened.
Felt like the old days for me. It's frightening to see that again. Like that, just the
old
turning
days?
circle. Back last year, it felt like my computer crapped out way more. Now I got the new mic. I got the new computer. I got all my stuff in order.
There was a time period of like 3 or 4 months where at 11 a.m. on the nose, Judd would crap out for 5 minutes.
Yep, like 11.
Every Friday at 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
at 11 a.m.
Yeah, so that's where I had like a bad flashback.
It was weird. But we made it. We made it to the end of Feedback
Fine
Friday
work.
here. Yes.
Fine work.
Thank you guys. If you haven't already, please click that subscribe button and the like button on the Purple Daily YouTube channel as we look to grow this incredible community of Vikings fans. Looking forward to this game on Sunday. We've got Purple Picks on Saturday, and then Vikings Vent Line live right here on the Purple Daily YouTube channel right after the Vikings and Saints are done. So thank you guys. Appreciate you, and we will see you for some official picks tomorrow. Hey everyone, my name is Phil Mackey. Welcome to Stepping Up, presented by Federated Insurance, where we talk to next generation business owners and leaders about their processes, the challenges they face, their leadership philosophies, their vision for the future of business. And our guest, as you can see, if you're watching this episode is someone that has helped craft one of my personal favorite restaurant chains, or whether it's Red Cow or Red Rabbit, under the same umbrella. Michael Giacomini, Director of Finance officially for Red Cow and Red Rabbit. And we appreciate you coming on, man. We'd love to just sort of dive into what led you up to your ventures with Red Cow, Red Rabbit, and sort of what you see for the future. So thanks for coming on.
So we started 10 years ago. Actually, my mom and dad founded it. We have a long history of working in restaurants. My mom was in restaurant distribution for 30 years. My dad ran different restaurants. I've worked in restaurants. My grandpa was in distribution. So there's a lot of food and restaurants going on our side of the family.
You guys don't just hire people at Red Cow, Red Rabbit. You've even put employees through leadership training at Red Cow, Red Rabbit. So what is that process like for you guys? Who do you look to hire? What is your leadership philosophy? You're not just like, all right, we're going to hire a chef. We're going to hire a server. Just get on out there and do your thing. It seems like there's more thought put into it.
I was super fortunate that my dad was very much so about leadership development. And he always has said, we're a leadership development company that happens to serve cheeseburgers, is kind of his tagline. And I love that tagline. Wow. So over the years, we've invested in different leadership coaches or different leadership classes to help grow our internal team members in order to become better leaders, because it's so important. We think everything starts with leadership for them. And then when it comes to hiring, we came up with our mission statement, like I said, which is to create raving fans. And then we have our 4 core values, which are we care tons, we want to win, we love this, and team first. And we really interview around those 4 core values. And our philosophy is if we can hire someone that matches with those, we can teach them how to serve cheeseburgers.
Awesome, man. Well, this has been Stepping Up, presented by Federated Insurance. Thanks, everyone, for listening and watching.